Bob is just looking around. That is how it always starts. First, it is boredom. Then it is curiosity. Then it is temptation. Then it is shopping. Bob finds something he likes. It looks clean. It looks cool. It looks useful. It probably is not. But Bob wants it anyway. He stares at the item page. He imagines owning it. He imagines using it. He imagines how good it will feel. He is already halfway sold. Then Bob sees the price. The price is $90. Suddenly, Bob slows down. Suddenly, Bob starts thinking. Suddenly, the fun disappears a little. Because $90 feels real. $90 feels like money leaving. $90 feels like consequences. Bob starts asking sensible questions. Do I really need this? Can I actually afford this? Should I wait until payday? Maybe I should leave it. Maybe I should close the tab. Maybe I should save my money. This is the dangerous moment. This is where the sale could die. This is where Bob could escape. But then something appears. It shows up at checkout. It looks small. It looks harmless. It looks helpful. It says pay in 3 or pay $30 today. And just like that, everything changes. The item does not feel like $90 anymore. Now it feels like $30. That is the trick. The price did not change. The product did not change. Bob's bank account did not change. Only the feeling changed. And feelings control spending. That is where Klarna becomes powerful. Klarna is a buy now, pay later company. That means you buy now and you pay later. Sometimes later feels harmless. Sometimes later feels invisible. Klarna gives people payment options. One common option is pay in 3. That means the cost is split. A $90 item becomes 3 $30 payments. One payment today, one payment later, one final payment after that. Klarna can also offer pay in 30 days. That means Bob gets the item now, but the money leaves later. On paper, this sounds useful, and sometimes it is. If someone is organized, it can work. If someone has the money, it can work. If someone tracks every payment, it can work. But that is not the problem. The problem is what it does to your brain. Klarna does not make things cheaper. It makes them feel cheaper. Those are not the same thing. A $90 hoodie is still $90, but split payments shrink the pain. And that matters. Paying full price hurts a little. That pain is useful. That pain makes you think. That pain asks questions. That pain says, be careful. That pain says, maybe not. Buy now, pay later softens that pain. It turns down the warning sound. Instead of asking, can I afford $90? Bob asks, can I afford $30? And $30 sounds easy. Easy is dangerous. So Bob buys the item. Bob feels good for a second. He feels smart. He feels like he found a workaround. He feels like he beat the system. He gets the item. He keeps more money in his account today. Everything feels fine, at least for now, because the first payment is only the start. The rest of the money is still coming. Bob did not remove the cost, he only delayed it. And delayed money is sneaky. A few days later, Bob shops again. This time, the item is $60. Klarna appears again. Now it feels like $20. Bob buys it. Then Bob sees something else. That one costs $45. Klarna makes it feel like $15. Bob buys that too. Then another item appears, then another. Each payment looks tiny on its own. $30 here, $20 there. $15 somewhere else. None of them feel serious, but they stack, and stacking is the real problem. Bob is not thinking in totals anymore. He is thinking in fragments. He is thinking in mini payments. Tiny payments feel harmless. Tiny payments feel forgettable. Tiny payments feel safe, but safe is not always safe. One payment does not feel scary. 2 payments do not feel scary. 3 payments still do not feel scary. But 5 different payment plans are different, especially when they come out at different times. That is when it turns messy. Now Bob opens his banking app, and suddenly he remembers everything. Klarna payment, another Klarna payment, another Klarna payment, phone bill, food bill, rent, travel, subscription, more spending, more pressure, more money already promised away. This is the trap. Klarna does not only use today's money, it quietly uses tomorrow's money too. That is why it feels sneaky. It does not always feel like debt. It feels like convenience. It feels like flexibility. It feels like a helpful button. It feels like a payment option. But it still changes your behavior. It helps you say yes faster. It helps you hesitate less. It helps the business close the sale. And that is the point. Stores do not want you pausing. Stores do not want you rethinking. Stores do not want you leaving the checkout. Stores want completed purchases. They hate abandoned baskets. Klarna helps reduce abandoned baskets. It makes buying feel lighter. It makes checkout feel easier. It makes spending feel less serious. That is great for the business, but not always great for Bob. because Bob still has to pay later, and later always arrives. Payday comes in, old decisions come back out, the hoodie comes back. The $60 purchase comes back, the $45 purchase comes back, the random nonsense comes back, the past starts billing the present. That is when Bob feels it. By now, pay later borrows peace from the future. It makes today feel easier by making tomorrow heavier. So what should Bob do? Bob should ask one question first. Would I buy this at full price today? If the answer is no, stop. Klarna did not make it affordable. It only made it feel affordable, and that is a big difference. But there is one more thing Bob needs to understand. Klarna is not always the villain. The real problem is when Bob stops thinking. Because the button is easy, the checkout is smooth, the payment looks smaller, and the decision feels less serious. That is the part businesses understand. They know people do not always make calm money choices. They know people buy with emotion first, then explain it to themselves later. Bob tells himself it is only $30, but it was never only $30. It was $30 now, then $30 later, then $30 again. And if Bob forgets that, the small payment becomes a big problem.